towards another part, and then all of you fall in!
The Centerlink has these attachment surfaces that are angled. I want the angled pointing down toward the front of the car. If I have the Centerlink backwards, the angle will be pointing backwards towards the rear of the car. That's not how they go. When the pitman and idler arms are where they belong, their attachment surfaces are angled down like so, pointing toward the front of the car. I try to be organized, but I'm missing the bolts that go through the end of the control arm and mount it to the cross member. Don't know where they are. I gotta look around. Alright, it's time to put this front suspension back together. Got new bolts. There's these bolts that were missing. These bolts go into the control arm. They hold the control arm to the cross member. I bought new ones, a couple of different lengths, so I didn't know what I needed. But then it occurred to me after I bought them that I needed to check the box of debris that I got back from the machine shop who pressed out my bushings and bearings off of the front end parts. I was so darn close to throwing all that stuff in the bin, but I kept all that, and it occurred to me I gotta look in that box, and there they were. Gonna leave things a little bit loose for now. Plenty of maneuvering to do. Tighten the ball joint to the steering arm to 50 foot-pounds. Can't get 50 foot-pounds worth of leverage without it being. There we go. There's 50. You know what? Unlike the other side of the car, I'm going to torque the ball joint to steering arm on the bench. This one won't do. Just proved to be a little bit awkward on the frame. 50. There we go. Yeah, that was a lot easier. Took away the awkward of doing it on the car. Alright. Got that business handled. Let's get this puppy put on. Gator deed. Backside goes in first. So the backside gets the bolt end. Front side, you can see, maybe not, I mean I can see where there used to be a lock washer. So the lock washer clearly goes with the nut on the front. Come on, bitch. Ah. The other side went right in. This side's a bit of a struggle. You know, shit doesn't always work out. It's kind of annoying. This one was tough. Okay, when it comes to putting the anti-roll bar back on, you've got a lot of parts involved. There's the sway bar, there's the bushings, there's the bracket, nuts, bolts, and of course the cross member, which also holds the engine mount. Now, these little pins right here, there's one on each side. By the way, it says RH over here, so you know which side goes on the right, okay? Helps you with the orientation. These two pins, one on each side, they go in these holes to the center of the bolt holes. And what that's going to do is hold the cross member in place while you're trying to lift up the sway bar and all its related attachment pieces. So to put it in place, you just mount up, line up your bolt holes, and it's going to look like one side won't mate up. You know, this side's nice and flush, it's got its pin in the hole. The other side looks like it won't mate up. You just give it a good nudge, and boom, your cross member will stay while you monkey with all the other parts. Okay, sway bar washers, a little bit curved. See the curve there? The concave side goes where the sway bar goes. So the flat side goes with the bushing. Well, it's not flat, but the convex side goes with the bushing. That's how they came off. Okay, I'm going to put my sway bar back in. I need my control arms free and able to swing. My struts need to be free to swing out on both sides. I've already started the right side. Now I'm lining up the left side. Okay, can you get a nut started on there? Would you be kind enough to get the other nut started as well? By the way, you also need two people. If you do it by yourself, you are a rock star. Please make a video, I want to see it. So we're starting these nuts and washers without the second half of the control arm bushing. Just to get things in place, I want things flexing around while I'm bolting the ball joints back up to the strut. So when you're working on your Mazda RX3, it is not necessary to have gay 60s music playing shuffle play, alright? Alright, now we want to reconnect ball joints with their struts. How to work on a car so you aren't in the way of the camera.
Filmmaker problem. Do we need washers on those?
Oh, right at. No washers, believe it or not. Okay, just snugging these up for now. Got plenty of other work to do before I'm ready to torque those to their spec. Gary, you want to do the honors on that side? We've established that in order to have enough flex to get the control arm bushings into the control arm at the sway bar, you must not yet have plugged the ball joint to the Mcpherson strut. A little sill glide on here be helpful. I bought some sill glide, but haven't really had to use it because Super Pro bushings come with so much, it's more than you need. So now I've got all this extra. Now the question is, do I plug Mcpherson struts in prior to the D clamps, or do I do D clamps first? I don't know. We're gonna find out. D brackets are, in fact, a bitch. These D clamp bolts have a little point to them. I've got some anti-seize smeared on there. It helps get it started, as well as keeping it from locking up later on down the road. Now I want you to know that this side, we made it look easy. The other side was done off camera, and it was an absolute nightmare because I stripped one of the threads in the frame, so I had to bust out the tap, fix that. Now we need to marry the Mcpherson strut to the ball joint and the steering arm. Order of operations: sway bar threaded section into the control arm. Then you've got to put both bushings in on both sides with the castle nut and washers. Then D clamps to the frame. Leave everything loose now. Don't be cranking down on anything. Last thing you do is Mcpherson strut to the steering arm. The ball joint is. Let's get the other side now. There you go. And that is how it's done. That was difficult.
That was fun.
Holy
Refreshing.
shit. Sway bar from hell. Of course, it was only difficult because I've never done it before, so now that I know what order things need to be done and how to do it, I could probably pound one of those out in 45 minutes, done. So the steering arm to Mcpherson strut bolts are recommended 46 to 69 foot-pounds. So I'm going to start it off at 46, and like all the other bolts and nuts, once I've set the car on its own weight and jounced it around a little bit, then we'll go to the higher number. So here's 46. Okay, that's that side. There's that one. Control arm to cross member bolts are supposed to be 29 to 40. There's 30 foot-pounds. There's 30. So the D brackets that mount the anti-sway bar bushings to the anti-sway bar, there's no torque spec in my manual for that, so I'm going to take them to 30 foot-pounds. And if you know an official torque spec for these, please leave it in the comments down below. Taking these up incrementally. I want to just crank down one side, and the other side will be lopsided. So bring them up even. Here's 30. Yeah, these D-clamp bolts are the same size as the steering arm to cross member bolts. 14 millimeter head and a 10 millimeter shaft. So I figured 30 foot-pounds would be a reasonable setting for these, in the absence of an official number. There we go. So the castle nut on the anti-sway bar will be 65 foot-pounds or 9 kilogram meters. 65 foot-pounds, 9 kilogram meters. And today, in What Else Did the Body Shop Fuck Up? Look at all the overspray of primer and paint on the door glass and rear quarter glass. Weren't they supposed to mask? Maybe they did, they just didn't do it well. And not only is it on the outside, it's on the inside too. Look how thick this overspray is. It's crazy. If you owned a body shop, would you send a car out the door like this? I don't think so. I did both of these windows with just the blade. Yeah, the blade kind of flexes because I don't have the right tool. You're supposed to put it in a little tool that'll allow you to grip it. So it was kind of tough to do. I'm gonna go get the right tool before I do the other side. Came out pretty good though, you know. I am having a pretty successful weekend though. What's a bummer is that I'm having to spend so much time fixing things that the body shop could have done better. I'm pretty happy with the progress I've made this weekend though, so it's all good. Got the right tool now, blade holder. Got this one's made in USA. Gotta love that. When I started working on this overspray on the glass problem, I had no intentions of removing the glass from the car. That's why I'm working on it on the car here. Eventually I realized the rear window regulators didn't really roll up well, and after seeing beautifully plated window regulators at Oss Rotary from a guy named Gypsy, after seeing his photos I was like, okay, these regulators are coming out. I do eventually remove the door glass and window regulators front and back, but that's a whole nother episode. Finally, that has been bugging me for so long. Now I can look at my glass and not be pissed off. Life's too short to be pissed off. And that's where I'm going to end this episode, which brings us to the question of the day. A 1976 Mazda RX3 has a coolant level sensor coming out of the bottom of the reservoir overflow tank. As you can see, my 76 reservoir tank is faded, discolored. Brand new tanks that are available don't have the sensor at the bottom, so I'd effectively be converting it to a 72, 3, 4 system with no coolant level sensor. I'd like to keep the car as original as possible, utilizing the sensor and the light on the dashboard. Only thing I can think of is to clean up and paint the original tank or convert to an older system, eliminating the coolant level light on my dashboard. Maybe there's other options I can't think of. What would you do? I'd love to hear all about it. Please let me know in the comments section down below. Thank you, car fans, for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, click subscribe. Watch my previous episodes and don't miss upcoming episodes. Next is part 2 of front suspension, installing centerlink, tie rods, idler and pitman arm. So much more to come. Peace out, brother. And today, and what else did the body shop fuck up? Look at all the overspray. Hold on. That made me laugh.